everybody, and welcome to my YouTube channel. It is Kennedy the Healer, at Kennedy the Healer, licensed marriage and family therapist, master shamanic energy medicine healer, artist, and entrepreneur. Yes, and so before I get into today's video about shamanism, I'm gonna need you all to go like and comment, and more importantly, subscribe to this channel if you find anything helpful about my healing videos. This community is all about reciprocity and giving back. It's not just about taking, but also giving. So when you share, when you comment, and you keep the engagement going and you subscribe, we spread knowledge and information and wisdom to other people so that we can raise the vibration and frequencies in our community, okay? So be sure to do that, okay? So let's get into it. So what is shamanism and what do we do? Shamanism is one of the most ancient spiritual practices in the world, okay? There's nothing modern or new age about it. Shamans act as intermediaries between the spiritual and the material world to help restore balance and bring forth healing to the planet, animals, and other human beings, okay? We are the medicine men and women who believe that the ancestors held great knowledge and wisdom and the power to heal themselves and others, okay? We are descendants of our ancestors, blood of their blood, bone of their bone, breath of their breath. And before we had hospitals and pharmacies, we relied upon the wisdom of the shamans for healing. Yes, and so how did I find shamanism? Okay. Well, I like to say that I didn't find shamanism, okay? Shamanism kind of found me. It definitely found me. It did not cross my mind when asked as a kid what I wanted to be when I grew up, right? My decision did not come by way of ego, because this path is far from easy. Healing people and helping others ascend into their healing comes with great responsibility and accountability, right? Oftentimes it could be very heavy on a medicine man or woman or a healer overall to be able to cope with and deal with and help others manage the entities and the energies that they're carrying inside themselves, okay? So this work ain't fun. It's not fun, but you know what? It's so rewarding, and it's definitely a life purpose of mine, okay? And yes, I am that Rose who grew from concrete. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby, and man, oh man, was that a time. I probably saw my father about 5 times that I can remember before he died when I was 11 years old. So absent father. My mom, my mother was addicted, you know, had substance abuse issues and mental health issues, and all of which led me to become orphaned and homeless at the age of 13. Yeah. And so during that time, I just remember having a direct relationship and access to source, my higher power and my spirituality. It's the only thing that, you know, brought me as far as I've been able to come today. So spirituality to me is everything. You know, I remember studying the Tao of Buddhism when I was 12 years old. I would go sit in the library on days I had nowhere to go and nothing to do, and I would just be reading books, you know, on the Tao of Buddhism. And although I grew up Christian Baptist, my curiosity of Eastern practices and ideologies emerged from the inner conflict of religiosity and fear that was projected onto me from the culture of the church. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I was programmed to believe that I needed to fear God and follow his rules, otherwise I would be cast into the lake of fire, eternal fire, you know. And as a child, I was able to discern that this was the dogma of man and not of God, right? And not of my higher power. And so my journey led me back to school 15, none of your business years later. I'm kidding, y'all. But, you know, going on to receive my GED and then obtaining my undergraduate degree in sociology, and then moving on to receive my master's degree in clinical psychology. In my years of practice and providing psychotherapy to individuals, I just could not shake this insatiable curiosity and feeling that something was missing from people's lives, and healing, and realizing that that missing piece can only be retrieved and discovered on a soul and energetic level, right? Not just physically, not just emotionally, not just mentally. Furthermore, educating the community about how their energetic field informs the physical body, acting as a database, holding all the necessary information on how to approach wellness in their material life. I have always had a deep affinity for shamans, Reiki healers, root workers, psychics, empaths, clairs, the whole nine. Anything magical. Harry Potter. Seriously, y'all. And now I understand why. Anyone who did not fit within the confines of institutionalized religion and societal norms, I'm rocking with y'all, okay? Because I am you and you are me, right? And so now I understand why. As a child, I always gravitated toward the odd person out, the person no one wanted to talk to, because that was me, right? And so I'm like, those are my people. They might be my people. Even if they're not my people, I like what they're doing and I want to know what that's all about, right? So that was my community, and I felt a sense of belonging with that particular genre of individuals, so to speak. So while everybody else was gossiping about their friends, their families, and their loved ones, and discussing politics and who's voting for who, war, money, materialism, and celebrities and things like that, I'm like, okay, well, how do I find a community where I can help mobilize healing and ascension and evolution in this world that is suffering a great deal? So to me, you all are the rock stars, okay? I ended up stumbling upon a book called Shaman Healer Sage, right? It was about 10 years ago. I don't remember how I got this book. I don't remember if I purchased it. I don't remember if someone gifted it to me, but I remember reading this book and feeling an immense connection to it. When I tell you, everything awakened inside of my body, right? And I did not know that 10 years later, I would become a student of the author, right? Training and undergoing a rigorous curriculum and initiation, receiving all of my rights as a shaman. I also have really strong ancestral roots, going back to Benin and Togo, my ancestral lineage, Nigeria, also 5-6 generations deep of Native Indigenous on my maternal side. And so my bloodline is strong, right? And I just believe that sometimes things are in you and not on you, right? A lot of times we have to really go purchase a certificate, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But, and that's just extra. But I have always felt shamanism and indigenous medicine pumping through my blood and running through my veins as a child, right? So I feel that, or believe, things have finally come full circle for me. And like I said, some things are just in you and not on you. So what services do I offer under my umbrella? If you are more curious about what I do and what I offer, please go to soulascensiontherapy.net, and there you will find a list of services that I can assist you with and provide for you, okay? But it's important to know that I work with the individual's energetic field, also known as the Akashic Records, right? To help people discover and retrieve missing parts of their soul so they can transform their fate into more destiny-fulfilled lives. I also help people remove defective soul contracts so they can rewrite new ones. I offer cord cuttings. I offer so many services, y'all, okay? Anything physical, mental, spiritual, energetic, or emotional, I am able to help and assist. So go to soulascensiontherapy.net. This might be the most important topic that absolutely needs to be addressed in our community. Is shamanism evil? Is it dark? Is spirituality evil? Right? Now, while there are obvious aspects of this work that are dark, the concept of demonism is constructed within the imagination of the individual, right? Thus creating and reflecting, mirroring, right, exactly what you believe, right, as a person. So for example, if you endured and suffered religious trauma growing up, you've been taught that ancient medicine practices, crystals, meditation, yoga, etc., is evil, right? And those programs will influence your experience if you decide to work with a practitioner that does not fit within the scope of the religion that you are familiar with, okay? It is very common for people to experience distortions due to their black and white thinking. So what you might perceive as evil is actually your inability to welcome and address your own aspects of darkness. So full disclaimer, I am not shunning religion. I believe religion can be helpful for people who are lost and trying to find their way to become better people, right? Religion provides a lot of things. However, religion is exclusive, meaning that it does not support its followers to practice anything outside of the religion, right? Such as spirituality, especially. Religion also requires an individual to worship and place power outside of themselves, and, in return for blessings. So it can feel very transactional. On the flip side, spirituality is inclusive, encouraging people to embrace themselves and actualize themselves wholly. It doesn't matter if you're a Catholic, if you're a Buddhist, if you're a Christian, a Muslim, etc., etc., etc. Spirituality is inclusive, and shamanism is a spiritual practice. Now, okay, there are entities and energy that can infiltrate, for sure, when spiritual work is being done. But this is always happening, guys. This is always happening, right? This happens in the TV programs that you watch, in the music that you listen to, in the media, the people you hang around. Dark entities are everywhere. And the sooner we all realize this, the sooner we can all be able to focus on how to navigate and protect ourselves against these energies, okay? Now, due to brainwashing and programming, individuals cannot and will not ascend toward their healing and transform unless they recognize the dark aspects of themselves. And when a person decides to heal, they will go through some dark experiences in order to find their light. That's just the reality of the situation. So we need to be very mindful about following anything that teaches us that in order to be abundant, in order to be blessed, in order to be healthy, in order to heal, in order to find resolution and solutions to our everyday struggles and challenges, we need to put our faith, beliefs, and trust in something outside of ourselves. And I can't speak for everyone, but for me, this was my experience growing up in a Baptist church, okay? So I can only speak for myself, but maybe that resonates with many of you, right? Because for me, what religion did was it taught me that I needed to be codependent. I needed to believe that the only way that I was powerful was if I went to church, was if I followed these very rigid and narrow rules in order to be accepted and loved and included, right? But the truth of the matter is none of us was exiled from the Garden of Eden. We were all stewards of the garden, okay? None of us were exiled or shunned or cast out of the Garden of Eden, okay? And so just growing up like that, it teaches you to be fearful, right? And to be afraid. And that's not something that I want to, that's not something I want to subscribe to on my journey of wellness and healing. So I'll just leave that there and leave it to you all to figure out, okay, where am I going? What am I doing? What feels aligned and loving, right? Inside of my soul, inside of my heart, right? in terms of spiritual practice. And again, this is not an anti-religious video. This is not what this is about. I grew up with religion in my life, and this is not that. And so this is just a personal point of view, me sharing my experience in hopes that someone can relate and let me know that I'm not the only one. But there was just something very unsettling and unnerving about communion, eating a cracker that represented the flesh of who and drinking the blood of what? You know, this is a whole sacrifice. I'm not down with this, you know? And so just being very mindful of what we're following and what we're doing and doing our own research, right? In terms of our spiritual journey and our religion. Okay, and an important thing to know is that everything begins and ends with intention and ethics, okay? Ethics and intention. It all starts and ends there. And I don't need a specific set of rules or constructs to tell me that, you know, I should be a selfless person and I should not take advantage of other people, or to be an honest person, or to be of service, right? Or to not take great pleasure and joy in witnessing other people suffer, or getting over, or being a manipulator. Like, these are things that should just be innate. You know what I'm saying? Right? But I will say this, if you don't trust your level of discernment in terms of going to see a shaman, a medium, a psychic, a tarot card reader, right? The whole nine, right? If you don't trust your level of discernment, ask yourself, am I checking in with my spiritual team, right? Your spiritual team involves your ancestors, your spirit guides, the keeper of your gate, right? Your higher power, right? We have a whole spiritual team. So you cannot just be rolling up to these practitioners without a condom on. I'm serious, y'all. Like, you can't just roll up without doing your work and meditating and checking in with source and your spiritual team and community, and just putting all of your faith and trust in whoever you're working with, right? You need to protect yourself. You need to protect yourself. But oftentimes what I have found, or what I've witnessed in many situations, is that, right, are people misperceiving or misunderstanding what's happening during the spiritual process of these services as a result of their unaddressed and unhealed shadow selves, right? Their shadow selves, that negative, dark part of yourself that you don't want to realize or address. Like, is that coming up and being misperceived as, what is this person doing with me and to me, right? It can completely be yourself, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, you need to make sure that you're protected and that your spiritual team is intact before you go see any sort of healer, okay? And so, who benefits from shamanic energy medicine? This one's easy. Everyone, right? Everyone. If you seek healing on a spiritual, energetic, emotional, psychological, physical level, then this medicine is for you. Restoration have been difficult for people and the world in terms of their mental, psychological, emotional, physical level, soul level, because too often we tend to forget that we are spiritual beings having a material experience, living in a material world, right? And we were not always this way, right? We were not always this way. You were born and domesticated since the time you've exited your mother's womb, okay? Since you have been born, you have been told what to think, what to do, how to behave, what to believe, right? And so as a result, you have been disconnected from your cosmic self and your intuitive abilities. I really appreciate you all for tuning in to my YouTube video. And I have to say that this video took me out. I'm a little worn. But you know, it's been a pleasure, and I want to keep the content coming. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the box, in the comment section, okay? I'll get back to you and offer my insight in any way that I can possibly help, right? I'm Kennedy the Healer. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. And until next time, peace.